look, fans, I think the players, I think Australians, as you mentioned, are pretty keen to get back to focusing on the tournament, which kicks off in just a few hours. The world's #1 men's tennis player has been deported from Australia. In the final immigration ruling in front of a 3-judge panel, Novak Djokovic lost his appeal to overturn his canceled visa.
The orders of the court are, 1, the amended application be dismissed with costs.
The federal court was unanimous, adding that Djokovic would be responsible for the government's legal fees, and he's subject to a possible 3-year ban, which would dash his hopes of defending his Australian Open title anytime soon. In a statement, Djokovic said he was extremely disappointed, adding, "I'm uncomfortable that the focus of the past weeks has been on me, and I hope that we can all now focus on the game and tournament I love." He wished the players good luck and thanked his family and fans for their support. Sunday's ruling closes a messy 2-week saga, which started on January 4th when Djokovic entered the country on an exemption because he's unvaccinated. His visa then canceled twice, immigration officials arguing his presence could foster anti-vaccination sentiment. His legal team arguing he wasn't endangering anyone and his deportation could do the same, a risk, it turns out, Australian officials are willing to take. And Alex, I think it's really worth noting, so while the Prime Minister and Immigration Minister have supported this decision, human rights groups in Australia are actually heavily criticizing this decision, saying it's indicative of an all-too-powerful immigration ministry and sets a dangerous precedent. So certainly one to watch, Alex. Also, of course, Djokovic is going to try to play tennis at other tournaments in other countries, so we are going to be watching this closely, I think.
Yeah, we sure will, and we're going to pick up this conversation right now. Thank you so much for that report, Molly. Joining me is Mike Lupica, longtime New York Daily News columnist, sports writer, and analyst, and also, we have to announce, co-author with James Patterson of The Horsewoman. That's just out this week. So congrats on that, Mike, and we'll get to that in a second. But assess the final outcome here for Novak. What's your take on how this all unfolded?
Well, Alex, first of all, he has done damage to his legacy, to his brand, to his place in the history of the sport. He's tied right now with Rafa Nadal and Roger Federer at 20 majors. And he wanted to break the record at the Australian Open and get to 21. But before he ever got near the court, Alex, he already broke a record by getting his visa revoked twice before the tournament even started. And he brought this on himself. Alex, I don't know what he thought was going to happen, but when I saw today that he said he was uncomfortable, that he had taken attention away from the tournament, I'm thinking, really, what did you think was going to happen? And from the time he was granted what everybody knew was a bogus medical exemption because he's unvaxxed to play this tournament, this, to me, the way it rolled out was as inevitable as the tide. I didn't think that he got one judge to overturn the visa being revoked. I didn't think they were going to get this 3-judge panel to do it. And I'm sorry for this guy because he wants to be loved. And I'm wondering who's advising him that this is the way to do that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Let me ask you a point that Molly brought up there. Depending on the state of COVID, is this kind of fight going to extend to Paris and the French Open, to London and Wimbledon, New York and the U.S. Open? Is that what's going to happen? Is he going to have to be in this battle all this year?
You know what, Alex? That's a very good question. I don't know how this is going to play out. In my opinion, if he wants to continue to go around the world and continue to add to an incredible historical record, he's going to have to get jabbed. I don't think that there's any way to I don't know what the rules are going to. They've said he can play in Paris, but who knows what the situation there is going to be in May. Wimbledon is another law unto itself. We've got a situation in New York where an unvaccinated basketball player for the Nets, Kyrie Irving, can't play home games with his team. That's the current laws of New York City. He may be dug in on this. And I'll tell you something. I said this to a friend of mine the other day.